right, I hope you have your coffee, your beverage of choice, your snack, your lunch. We are here today. We have the amazing Durham's finest, Dr. Nicole Swanner. Don't you make that face. We're so excited to have you today. This is Provident 1898 virtual PowerLunch in an effort to bring virtual education and professional learning during this pandemic. I wanted to make sure that we were still coming into homes. You know, again, this is very laid back, still professional, but laid back. You might see my dog again. Hopefully you will not hear my children. We're going to be here together for about an hour, 10 minutes. And then we are going to dive into some questions towards the end. If you have any questions, as Dr. Swanner is talking, go ahead and drop them in the comment section and or the Q&A section. Either one, I'll pull them from both and talk to her and bring them to her at the end. Provident 1898 is a co-working space. We are a physical space in Durham off of West Chapel Hill Street in the tower at Mutual Plaza. It's a historic building off of West Chapel Hill Street. Again, we hope to see you when this is all over. But for right now, we're in your home or wherever you are outside, getting some fresh air, bringing this to you. So I'm gonna tell you a bit about Nicole Swanner, and then I'm gonna jump right into the topic for today, which I'm very excited about. So while I'm going through this, make sure you grab your snacks, lunch, beverages of your choice. So Dr. Swanner is voted one of 10 best doctors in NC. She's a family physician, 6-time best-selling author, blogger, wife, and mother here. She is also affectionately known as the Superwoman Complex expert and has written 2 best-selling books on the topic. With her company, Swanner Publishing Company, she helps authors become bestsellers from start to finish. She loves taking care of the family as a whole, with interest in minority health, women's health, self-care, and female entrepreneurship. She attended Duke University and went to medical school at the Medical University of South Carolina. She lived in the Triangle here in Durham, NC, since finishing residency at UNC Chapel Hill, and continues teaching as an adjunct associate professor with the Family Medicine Department. When she's not treating patients at Durham Family Medicine, she's spending time with her family, planning items for her Superwoman subscription box program, speaking nationally, freelancing for WebMD, and teaching others to self-publish. She has become one of the nation's experts on self-care, imposter syndrome, physical burnout, and well-being. Without further ado, introductions. Make sure you can. We have Dr. Swanner.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
You good? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for, good, thank you. And I can see your comments, which is great. Thank you so much to the team at Provident 1898. They are an incredible group of folks in the historical building of the Mutual Tower downtown. It is a pleasure and an honor to always be associated with them and have events and support what they're doing, because I think they're carrying on a wonderful legacy, particularly of Black Wall Street in this Durham area. So I applaud you all, the Webbs, Tivy, Jasmine, the whole team, Peter. Thank you so much for having me. And this wonderful Power Lunch series, which has been going on for a little while, has always been a very important platform for particularly minority entrepreneurs, particularly in this area, to get together and support one another. So I applaud you all on the work that you're doing. So, all right, welcome to my basement. As you can see, we are at home. You are at home, hopefully, self-isolating, quarantining, staying safe and healthy. You know, my day job, my main gig is as a family physician. I'm in the lab. Timmy's, that's right. Well, Rick Swiner's lab mostly. This is all his equipment here. But as a family physician, I also want to make sure that you all are being healthy, you're staying safe, you're staying at home here in the Durham area. You know, I think we were one of the first cities to really jump on board with this whole quarantine issue. The numbers are starting to flatten. It's working. So stay at home and do what you're supposed to do. So that's my family medicine spiel to begin everything. But as a publisher and as an author, I have found great joy in helping folks tell their story. There's some therapy that happens, you know, when you're publishing about whatever topic, when you're blogging about whatever topic that is near and dear to your heart, part of your passion, and you are literally delivering your baby to the world. And so it's kind of still medicine for me, and has been. It's definitely been therapeutic for both me and the author to get their story out, to watch the joy on their face, to see them proud of themselves for their accomplishments. Thank you for the therapy. I see some of my authors in the building. Yay! And my cousins, by the way. Hi, y'all. But it has been a great joy within the last 5 or 6 years with Swiner Publishing Company that I own, and I work in close coordination with my husband, who owns Spiderweb Developer. Shout out to Rick Swiner. He was actually on the photo, the beginning photo for the Provident. He was on there. So I always appreciate him and the authors and the folks that support what we're doing. So this has become, you know, it's a side gig, but it's become something, it's like a passion project for us. And so I'm really happy that we've been successful. We've helped probably over 60 authors so far publish, and 99% of those folks have gone on to become best-selling authors. And they've been able to start side businesses, or switch from one career to the next, or do something different, make money in other ways, continue their legacy. And so we're really, really happy that we get to do this. And so I'm glad that you all are here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna share my PowerPoint, which, you know, is less of a script and really more of a way for me to make sure that I'm saying all the things that I wanna say and share with you. I'll play this from the start. There we go. So y'all, please let me know if you have any viewing or hearing difficulties. Like Ms. Jasmine said, we'll kind of save most of the questions for the end. So feel free to chat or send your comments. I think the ladies can also see, even though I can't, you know, if I'm sharing the screen, I can't really see your comments, but I think the ladies can, and they'll be able to field some of those questions and answers for you in the meantime. But we're gonna go through some of the things that I talk to my authors about, whether they are working with us and we are doing the work for them, or I'm teaching them and guiding them in some of the group classes that I do for them to learn how to do this on their own. I'm going to kind of try to compress and not overwhelm you too much, but try to compress this into what you can do on your own and learn how to do, or hire folks to do little pieces of, but then you run most of the ship yourself with publishing in 3 months or less. It really should not take forever. It does not have to take forever. When you are self-publishing, you are the captain of your own ship. You get to make the rules. You get to, you know, talk about what you want to talk about. You get to decide how short or long a project is. You get to run the ship. So this gives you great freedom to do the things that you'd like to do to get this book done. So usually when I'm teaching a course or doing a mastermind group, I'm showing people how to do things within either 6 to 12 months from start to finish. But because we're all at home a little bit more, we're quarantining, hopefully we have a little bit of extra time, especially if you've had a little bit of some nights that you have insomnia. Maybe that's the perfect time to pick up a piece of paper and a pen and start writing some stuff. You can probably get some things done before this whole thing is over. So I want to help you to do that. So let's get into it. So we're going to talk about what's on my 3-month timeline, how to kind of get into your manuscript and write. We'll talk mostly about publishing a book, some about blogging. You know, if you're not ready to really put things out into the world and sell it and all that, you certainly can do it in a blog form. We'll talk a little bit about that. Talk about how to design your own book cover, spend a lot of time on social media mastery, because I think that that is and has been an incredible resource, particularly for me and my brand, what it is to establish a brand, and using social media for that reason. So we'll spend a lot of time with that. And then how to make some money from your books, because let's face it, that's usually a lot of the motivation behind writing something like this or putting something out into the world is, yeah, you know, you want to be known as an expert, you want to get your story out, you want to help others, but let's face it, it'd be great if you could make some money with this, right? So certainly writing books and publishing books, whether they be in printed form or electronic ebook form, is a great way to make passive income, because while you sleep, I like to say make money while you sleep, because while you're sleeping, people can be downloading and purchasing your book via Amazon, via Barnes and Nobles, and you don't have to do a thing. You know, the money is depositing right into your account, which is always fantastic. For those that are wanting to use it as a vehicle to move from one career to the next, it's a wonderful way to get your foot in the door. You know, usually we would use our resume or our CV as something to hand off to the next person to say, you know, this is what I'm a professional in, or you should hire me for this reason. But a book carries even more weight, both figuratively and literally. You know, people, interestingly, you know, I've been a doctor now for 13 years or more, but in the speaking realm, people didn't really truly see me as an expert until I handed them a book and said, look at all this stuff that I've published. And they're like, oh yeah, she must know what she's talking about, despite the fact that I had, you know, experience and expertise in my field of work. So it definitely gets your foot in the door for more things. It helps make you, or make your message a little bit easier to deliver. So for instance, if I'm talking to my patients about mental health issues or self-care or how to get your blood pressure numbers down, I tend to say the same things over and over again. I kind of give the same speech, whether it be about more sleep, watching your diet, exercising, sodium, and all that. When you write something down, if you have a blog or if you have a book, you can speak less, because you can say, you know what, here's a chapter that I wrote on this, take this home with you. Or here's a guide that you can use. So you don't have to spend as much of your visit, your one-on-one visit, going through those things, because then they have something to take home with them. So I think it makes it much more efficient. Clearly, you know, especially if you're doing an autobiography or you're telling or giving tips in a self-help book form, you're helping and motivating others to do better, make better decisions, etc. And then as I mentioned, it's been therapeutic definitely for the authors to tell their truth, but then it's therapeutic for me, for us, the folks that we work with, to help you deliver that message, because, you know, everybody wins in the end once you share your truth with the world, okay? So think about your why, you know, what specifically is your reason? Why am I writing this book? And that will help you deliver the message in the right way. It'll give you a good starting point. Or if your reason helps you to go, you know, backwards, if you say, you know what, by the end of this book, I want someone to know these things, or I want someone to be able to do this. So it actually helps you to start from the back and work your way backwards. You know, it can really make it a little bit more clear as to, or giving you more of an idea of what you want to write, what you want to put down on paper. Okay, so how are you going to do it? We ran through some of the agenda. We talked about, you know, how we're going to kind of do this in a stepwise fashion. But the biggest piece of my job with my publishing company is helping a person learn and feel comfortable with promoting themselves. You know, if you've gone to school, if you're a lawyer, a doctor, a politician, etc., you know, we know well how to do that, you know, in that role. So I, you know, first coming out, knew how to talk about medicine, knew how to tell people that I was a doctor and all these wonderful things that I knew and could help them with and fix. But when it comes to promoting yourself as an entrepreneur or promoting yourself as an author, putting yourself out front, selling, you become a salesman, saleswoman, completely different story. And a lot of people really have a hard time with that, especially doctors, well, which is the majority of my audience. I work with a lot of folks, but I've definitely published a lot of doctors, and a lot of us, particularly if you're in primary care, are taught to be humble and kind of the the meek folks in the back that are just the soldiers on the ground fighting for medical justice, and we've not been taught well to put ourselves out in front and to promote. So a lot of what we do, a lot of what you're doing on social media with building your brand is about promoting and feeling comfortable promoting yourself, okay? A lot of the book writing process, we're going to talk about how to crunch this into a couple of month process, but in general, as long as you set aside a little bit of time each day, each week, each month, you can get this done. It's really mostly about consistency. There's no particular deadline. Again, if you are self-publishing, you get to create your own timeline. It's really about consistency. If you wake up today and say, I want to write a book, by the end of 2020, I want to be a published author, you have to set aside your own time to get it done, just like any goal that you have, okay? The other part of this is go ahead and tell people you're a published writer, or go ahead and tell people you're a writer. Maybe not published yet, but you are a writer. Go ahead and tell people that you are an author. The sooner you do that, not only the more accountable you'll feel to you'll feel to yourself, but you're also then now accountable to your audience. So you're delivering the message and saying, hey guys, you're going to do a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live today. Maybe that'll be your homework today. Do a Facebook Live or Instagram Live and say, hey guys, you know what? I'm an author. I'm a writer. I have the story I want to tell. It's going to happen. Not only are your friends, family, and colleagues going to keep you accountable because they're going to be asking, hey, remember you said you're going to write this book. When is it coming? But it promotes, so people now are excited about what you are going to deliver. They're going to be ready. They're going to save up their money so that when you publish or release your book, they'll be ready to let it out they'll be able to purchase it and support you. But then it kind of hopefully gets you kind of revved up, gets you energized, gets you motivated and encouraged to do that thing that you said you're going to do. So why not go ahead and tell somebody now? You don't have to have a book in your hand to call yourself an author or a writer, okay? And then of course, because we're talking about promotion, et cetera, I will have a special offer for you guys that are here with us today. So definitely want to stay tuned till the end, all right? All right, so let's get into it. Let's jump right in. Here's the timeline, okay? So again, I kind of crunch this when I teach this subject. Excuse me, when I teach this subject, I usually, I didn't cough, that was clearing my throat into my hand. That wasn't a cough. I'm much more aware of these things now for the quarantine, but we crunch this down from a 6-month process down into a 3. You can do this in different orders. This is not a hard and fast, roadmap. You can switch it up however you want. But these are definitely the things on your checklist that you have to check off in order to achieve publishing a book, okay? So I may jump around a little bit. Things may be out of order. The biggest piece, the most important piece clearly is writing, finishing your manuscript. And that's what's going to take the most time, is actually forcing yourself to sit down, carve it out in your schedule, and put the words to paper, okay? So starting off, you're going to be writing, okay? So now that we're in quarantine and hopefully you're staying at home and all of that safely, usually I would say carve out, once a week, a Saturday or Sunday before the rest of the family gets up, or before your favorite TV show comes on, etc. Get up in the quiet, carve out an hour, sit and type or write things down. Commit to yourself that you're going to do it at least once a week. If you're kind of on an accelerated path, like you could be now, the more time, the better. So once a day, in between your Netflix, in between your conference calls, at the end of the day, first thing in the morning, whenever you are most energized, sit down, commit to half an hour to an hour, get it out, okay? Excuse me, in the beginning, does it have to be perfectly organized and chopped into chapters, etc.? No, it can be a very flowy, casual stream of consciousness, word vomit type deal. Just get it out of you. Write it down, okay? But commit and schedule, just like you schedule everything else in life. Schedule so that you are committed to this idea of This is my time. I'm going to turn my phone off. I'm not going to be distracted, and I'm going to write. I'll show you a method that I often use and often teach to my authors about how to help keep yourself focused. If you're easily distracted, like I can be sometimes, and work, 10 million ideas at once floating in your brain, and you want to help kind of stay focused at least for a committed amount of time, I'll talk about that. While the writing is happening, you can also be working on other things. Or let's say you've been writing for a couple of weeks, you kind of get stuck, you hit kind of a writer's block, then kind of jump to another thing to keep yourself motivated and encouraged. So we'll talk about how to start working on your own book cover. We'll talk about how to be promoting yourself on social media at the same time. And you can also potentially start doing some early sales or pre-order campaigning for yourself. Okay, take a drink of water. Excuse me. So while writing, while finishing the manuscript, you simultaneously can be doing these other things. Now, you also, if after we do the presentation, you feel like, I'm still, I'm not a creative, I don't know much about social media graphics or using Canva, which we're going to walk through a little bit, but I know my cousin is, or I know my teenage son is, they have interest in social media or in graphic design. So maybe I'll get them to do my book cover. Maybe I'll get them to do this for me, or hire a professional to actually do it for you. So you can focus the majority of your time on the writing piece. You certainly can do that, okay? So you're writing, you've committed to writing, you're working on your book cover, you started telling people about your book on social media. By the end of that month, you should have a good chunk written. And again, we're going to go through these piece by piece. By that time, by month, end of month 1, going into month 2, then you start working on the structural pieces. You start making sure that your table of contents is going to make sense. So let's say you spent your first month just kind of stream of consciousness, getting the words out, not really organizing it, but you're just getting all your thoughts on the paper onto your screen. By the end of month 1, you should start kind of chopping and organizing. You should write out your table of contents. Some people actually like to start with their table of contents because it gives them more of a chapter outline. So it keeps them a little bit organized, but you should at least know, okay, this is going to be a 10 chapter book, a 12 chapter book. These are the topics that I want to go through. This is the flow, and this is kind of, the thought process and the journey I want to take people through. So that by the second month, even if you're still writing, you can start, compartmentalizing where things are going to go. And you'll start seeing the book a little bit more clearly in your vision, okay? You also, which again, you could do at the beginning, you could do while the first month is going on. Think about your ISBN, okay? I'll kind of, take a little detour here to talk about ISBN. So your ISBN is the barcode or the collection of numbers on the back of a book. That's what is scanned at checkout so that you can make your money, right? It's also kind of a way to copyright, your content. You certainly can go through LegalZoom.com or get a lawyer to do copywriting and trademarking for your ideas, for your brand, for your book. You don't necessarily have to with a book because once you put your book out, it has your face, your name on it. It's kind of hard for that idea to be stolen, right? It's kind of your copyright. There's even it's not blind man's copyright or trademark, but there's a way to kind of, quote, copyright your book without having to go through that process, and that once you produce the book, you mail yourself a copy. Once it goes through the official mail, through the postal service, it's an actual product and that is yours, okay? But your ISBN clearly is the way to get paid. So you can register for your own ISBN on websites. I usually use Bowker's or myidentifiers.com. And that's usually the resource that I use. Or if and when you use Amazon, Amazon does have its own publishing format. It's called CreateSpace. They're actually transitioning out of CreateSpace, and actually they're calling it KDP now. So it's KDP editing.amazon.com. And we'll look at that in a moment. But if you work through them, they can assign you an ISBN and you don't have to, pay for it separately. So you can do that at the very beginning, to say, okay, this is my name, this is my title, this is my genre, this is how much I want to, charge for my book, and make that real. So you don't necessarily have to wait to do that. Okay. So we're in month 2-ish. You've been writing all along. Now things are organized, getting your book cover worked on, you're talking about it and promoting yourself on social media. Once you have your book cover, you can start posting your book cover on social media and say, hey guys, it's coming. Look at this. Look at me. It's coming. But you're still writing and getting all those things done. But clearly at some point you have to stop writing. You have to be done. Okay? You get to the end of your chapter, the end of your table of contents, you're doing your acknowledgments, you're doing your reference or your biography page, and you're handing it off. Please get it edited. Okay? So unless you have a master's in English or you are a professional editor, now disclaimer, again, you're self-publishing, so you can do whatever you want. You make the rules. But I love a nicely edited, professional looking type of a product. So we have editors that we work with. We have, 4 or 5 contractors that we work with for editing. They are all professional editors that we pass off the book to. Clearly, as you're writing, you can be doing your editing. If you want to have a beta reader, once your manuscript is done, a friend, a trusted colleague, you want to have them look through it, but still have it professionally edited so someone can really check on the grammar, check on the content, check on the punctuation, the syntax, all of these things, right? That can be happening, okay? Done with your manuscript, hand it off to a professional editor, give them a couple of weeks to do their thing, depending on how busy they are. While the editing is being done, now we're thinking about the actual launch. Okay, so we have the book cover, it's almost done or it's done. I got an ISBN. I've already been promoting on social media. So I told people 2 or 3 months ago, the book is coming. So I've already done that piece. While editing is happening, now think about how you're going to put this book out. You can plan a book launch party. Again, we're in quarantine, so having an actual, party at your house or party at an event location definitely is not as doable. But you certainly can do a virtual launch party. You can do, a lot of times I'll have my authors do both, where they do their launch virtually, Facebook, Instagram, all of that, and then plan on having a party of some sort, because that's a great way to make money. Great way to introduce your book, great way for your friends and family to celebrate you, to big you up. So doing something on Facebook Live, doing something on Instagram Live to say, hey guys, on this date, coming out with the book, so excited, definitely want y'all to support me, share with your friends. We're gonna have an actual party when this is all said and done. Once this quarantine is done, we're gonna have an actual party at Provident 1898, etc. So stay tuned. The best thing that I love about the launch process is we do something called the bestsellers campaign, and we do it with the ebooks, the electronic books, meaning the books that you download and look, read on Kindle, etc. Bestsellers is a campaign in which, and I can't give away all my secrets, wink, but if you stay for the end and get our special author, then I am going to walk you through that. But once you have your ebook on Kindle, you can, by the way, number 1, go ahead and start selling your product. You don't have to wait until you have a printed book. If you have your book cover and your edited manuscript, you upload to Kindle, start selling your book as an ebook, make your money. But what I do like to do once you have your ebook ready with the bestsellers campaign is when you upload your book onto Amazon and they put you on their website, they put books into different categories, right? So there's poetry, there's African-American poetry, there's young adult African-American poetry, all the subcategories that you can think of. What I do when we do bestseller campaigns for folks is if you have your, let's say you've already published and you have your printed book, we convert that into an ebook, or if you've already uploaded your ebook and you want to, put it out to the world for its first launch, you pick the specific categories that you want to pick on Amazon to put it in. And actually, when you upload your book, this is where you actually pick your categories. They have a section, I'll show you. They have a section where you pick what categories you want to use. What you want to do is you want to find the most relevant but small subcategory that your book will make sense in. Pick a day. You can actually Google and pick a day that is the best for your genre of book. Lower the price and launch it. I actually just gave you some of my secrets away. That's fine. That's yours. Have it. There's some nuances though, but that's how you do a bestsellers launch, because there's no specific number that Amazon says you have to sell, and there's no specific price that you have to put your book in for it to sell. They won't tell you that. But if Amazon or Kindle sees that on a certain day for a short amount of time for the small price, you had multiple rapid sales, that is what drives you up on the bestsellers list. So my guarantee, money back guarantee with almost all my authors that choose to do the bestsellers campaign is, if I don't get you to top 10, my goal is always number 1. But if I don't get you to top 10, you get your money back. And 99.9% of the time, that has happened, which I'm really proud of. But you certainly can do it on your own. There are just a couple little tricks you have to learn, okay? And then you launch the book. Tell everybody about it, sell it, share it, all of that. That's the 3-month timeline in a nutshell. And you certainly can do it. You certainly can do it. Okay, I'm gonna take a little sip break, let things kind of marinate. I know that was a lot. That was the meat. I threw it, oh, sorry. I threw it right at you, threw the meat at you. But I think this is also being recorded. So if you need it, you can definitely ask for a copy. Yeah. Yes, ma'am, Miss Jasmine, did you have something for me?
We have questions rolling in.
You want to do some questions now? We can do some questions.
No.
Okay.
Not if you're not. When you're ready.
Okay. All right. The comments are looking good. I can't see the comments. I want to make sure that like people can hear me. I'm making sense. I'm not talking too fast. Okay.
You're looking good.
Excellent. Okay. All right. We're going to keep on moving. And also, Miss Jasmine, please help me keep my time because I don't have my clock in front of me too. All right. Okay. So let's move on. Let's get to the important piece, the writing of the manuscript, right? So we talked a little bit about your why. Definitely important. Got to think about why I'm writing this so you know where you're headed, right? You know what your motivation is. You also want to think about who your audience is. Who's your avatar? An avatar literally is the form and vision of the person you're trying to reach. You know, from in the beginning when writing the Superwoman Complex books, I thought all women, all people really, men included, will benefit from learning more about what this complex is and what self-care means and how it can detrimentally affect the body and the mind and soul and all of that. When I spoke to mentors, get you a mentor, by the way. Even if you're doing this by yourself, get you a mentor, someone who's published before. But my mentor said, you know what, that's great, you know, that you want to reach everybody, race, color, creed, etc. But it's not realistic. When you're a salesman, saleswoman, you have to think about who your avatar is. Who are you selling to? Because you have to direct your message to them. Mine ultimately, and as time went on, I was able to see, you know, if you look at the folks that follow me and purchase my books and do, you know, my merchandise and all that stuff, it's particularly mostly minority, usually in the age range of, you know, 25 to 50, working, married, with or without children. That's usually my avatar. Professional, that's usually my avatar. So I write and present so that I'm speaking to that person. So when you're writing your book, whatever it's about, it can be a novel, it can be autobiography, etc. Think about that one person that you're speaking to, writing for, hoping to help, want to sell the book to, because that helps you develop your brand and what your brand and what your presentation is going to look like when you're on social media or when you're speaking. And that's also going to help you write your story better. Okay. It's best to think about that beforehand than to do that on the tail end. You sell better when you think about that in the beginning. Okay. A lot of the questions that I get or one of the big questions I get is, do you have to start from scratch? Answer is no. If I took and looked at a lot of you all's social media pages right now, particularly for those who like to write paragraphs upon paragraphs on Facebook about, the political scene, about, what's going on with COVID-19, about your own personal things going on. If I went back a year and collected all those things, all those monologues that you typed out and collected them, I could create a book. Today, I could do it with a little bit of editing, a little bit of chopping up, putting it into chapters. That's literally how I wrote my first book on the Superwoman Complex. I went back, I started blogging actually before I wrote the book. I was doing some blogging for some local magazines. Shout out to the Triangle Tribune. That was one of the first places that I wrote locally. I was doing blogs on other, community resources. I've been doing it mostly to promote the clinic and to put myself out there as a new physician to get more patients to come in. But over the span of about 2 to 3 years, I realized, I have a pretty good collection of stuff that I've written. I've been writing pretty regularly monthly, right? Putting out a medical article, talking about mental health, physical health, et cetera. And I said, why not? After I kind of looked around and saw my peers and colleagues who were also writing and publishing, I said, why not take what I've written? I've been putting them on my blog, collect them, put them together, and put it into book form. And that's literally what I did, with a couple of different edits and tweaks and adding some things in. But you don't have to start from scratch. Don't start from scratch. It'll actually save you some time if you go back, or even have someone help you go back, collect those things. If you've been doing a lot of live streaming, so let's say you've been doing podcasts or you've been live streaming and talking about a particular topic, and it's something that is consistent with your brand, you can actually go back and transcribe those lives, or had an intern to go and look at some of the podcasts, some of the things that were shared on YouTube that I'd done with other folks or other interviews, and transcribed what I'd spoken. And we turned that into a chapter. We put that into the blog. Don't reinvent the wheel. If you already have some stuff, use it. We talked about starting with your ending. Starting with, at the end of this project, this is the thing that I want people to know. This is the thing that I want them to learn. So I got to make sure that what I talk about ahead of that makes sense. Okay. It's also a potential idea to start with your launch date. So let's say that Christmas is your launch date for your children's book that you want to put out. Christmas is a wonderful time to put out children's books because people are buying gifts, etc. Or if by your birth date, you want to put something out. Start with that, and then that helps you to organize how quickly you want to write and finish your manuscript. Okay. You want to create your chapter outline, like we talked about, decide on the length of the book. You get to decide how short, how long. An ebook can literally be 2 to 3 pages. And I'll show you an example of one that I've written. Or if you're writing a novel, it can be 300 pages. You get to decide that. Create your space, your time, commit, be consistent. There are also some apps that you can use to kind of edit as you go. Grammarly is the one that I hear about the most. So you can download the app or add it as a plugin, I believe, to your computer, and it can help you to edit. Clearly, there's spell check if you use Microsoft Word and all that, but you can certainly edit as you go so that when your professional editor gets their hands on it, it'll take less time. Okay. All right. We're going to save our questions for the end so we can keep going. So, social media is your friend. I'm going to say that again. This is the step. This is the rate limiting step for a lot of my folks that I work with. But social media is your friend. You have to use it. You cannot go without it. You can try, but if you're trying to reach, excuse me, if you're trying to reach the Gen Xers, the millennials, the Gen Zers, you gotta be on social media. That's where we get our stuff. You know, the time is over for newspaper, magazine subscriptions. Like, you know, those companies are struggling. If you're like me, you get the majority of your news from social media and online. You have to use it. Do you have to use every single platform? No. But you certainly should be comfortable with at least one, if not at least two, Facebook and Instagram. They're the big two. If you need some help, if you need, you know, training on how to be more comfortable on these platforms, please ask someone, please hire someone. But you really have to. That's where people get the majority of their news, on the trends, on what to purchase. You know, you see all these big companies now, every company has a commercial on Facebook, has an ad. That's where people are picking up their stuff. So you have to be there, okay? Become comfortable with one or two. If I had my choice, I would pick Facebook and Instagram. You know, you certainly can use Twitter, you can use Snapchat, TikTok if you would like. Everybody's on TikTok nowadays, but you know, pick your one or two and be consistent there. So for instance, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I personally am on there every day. I post in the beginning multiple times a day. I know that can be daunting for a number of people, but when I first started, when I was really trying to get my numbers up, I was on Facebook and Instagram multiple times a day, talking about, you know, a patient encounter, you know, confidentially using HIPAA, or, you know, a certain topic in my book, or if that day was National So-and-so Day, I was posting about it, because you have to build up your visibility. People need to see you, okay? Let's go to Instagram real quick. Let me see. Let me see if I can get out of here real quick. Yeah, let's go to Instagram. Instagram is my favorite. It is my favorite because I think it's mostly visual. Facebook has a lot of words. Twitter almost has words exclusively. Instagram is visual. Instagram is kind of a quick and dirty way to get your bio out there, because it allows you here to put your bio. Again, short and sweet. Pictures and videos are the big things that you want to put on Instagram. Depending on your audience, depending on your avatar, you want to figure out what people like to see from you. For me, I get the most views and the most hearts on my family photos and on photos of just me being out, being pretty. Why? That's what people want to see, apparently, from me, but that's where I get the most views. Look at this, me yesterday with a glass of wine. Now, you know, my promotional stuff, not as many, right? Look at this. This is me talking about important things like, hey, y'all, I'm going to go on live and talk about some medical stuff. People were like, yeah. We want to see a picture of the family, or we want to see you, what's another big one? We want to see you chilling outside, or we want to see you on a magazine cover, right? So that's where my audience was to see me. So then after I learned that, I said, okay, so those are the kinds of pictures I'm going to post. Every once in a while, I'm going to put something promotional on there. You know, I'm talking about some important things. This is where, you know, I was talking about, hey, y'all, I'm going to be on the news. We're talking about some alcohol. They were like, But then I posted a picture of me in a fancy outfit. They like that. So you have to learn over time what your audience likes, and you have to post those things. The other important thing about social media to learn are about hashtags. And I go into this a lot when I'm doing a mastermind courses, or if I'm working with you one-on-one as an author, we go into this heavy. But learn how to use your hashtags. When you post on Instagram, post on Facebook, you got to use your hashtags. Make sure that it's consistent with your brand. So there are a number of hashtags that I use consistently, because I want people to associate that with my brand and what I'm talking about. So I'm almost always using self-care, Doc Swiner, no superwoman, consistency. Here you go again. The superwoman, this is for CIAA, so we use CIAA because that's a big one. People were following that. It was trending during that time, okay? So get comfortable with social media. If you're not comfortable, get some training, get somebody to handhold, ask your teenage and young adult friends to walk you through it. They can show you how to use Snapchat. Yes? I don't like Snapchat. I've been on Snapchat before. I don't use it a whole lot, you know, but I am very consistent with the other stuff. All right. I saw that we're at about 12:45, so we've got about 15 minutes. Okay, here we go. So social media is king. For blogging, and we'll talk about blogging, I blog on wordpress.com. That's where my blog is. WordPress.com is where I use put my blog. My blog's URL is docsminer.blog. It is where, in the beginning, I was putting, you know, the majority of the things that I was writing in magazines and in newspapers locally to share medical health stuff. What I would do is I would give them the article, let them post it, and then I would copy it and paste it, and that was in my blog. So if someone looks at my blog, I kind of want them to have that one place where they can go and read all the stuff that I've written. I don't share all the stuff from my book in my blog because I want people to buy the book, but I certainly will share excerpts. So if a certain chapter in one of my books is pertinent for that time, then I'll share a little piece of it on my blog and say, for the rest of the meat, for the rest of the info, please purchase book over here. Okay, so I'll show you the WordPress in a moment. Email lists are very important because what one of my mentors told me was, so yeah, having 10,000 followers on Instagram is wonderful, but what if one day Instagram shuts down and goes away? And those things, they do shut down. I think last week, both Facebook and Instagram shut down. What happens when those things shut down and you've lost your followers and you don't know how to get in contact with them? You have to capture people's email addresses and their other contact info so that you can reach out to them in different ways. A lot of you all probably signed on to this or knew that this was happening, this seminar was happening because of an email that you either got from myself or from Provident. You might not have even seen it on Facebook or Instagram. You also may have older relatives that just refuse to be on social media, like my father. He is not on Facebook, he's not on Instagram. He kind of knows what's happening in my business because he gets my emails. All right, I send out monthly, every other month, I'll send out an email that lists what I've been thinking about, what I've been talking about, stuff that's happened, new book release, new merchandise, etc., so that I can capture those people. They're in my email, you know, database. I can always reach out to them if I need something, or if I have a sale on something, I can reach out to them in that way. Or, you know, on social media, people usually browse and thumb through things pretty quickly. They might not have seen it, they might not have paid attention to it, but if they click and open your email, then they, you know, are more, you're pulling them in, and they're paying attention. And so they catch those things that you want them to catch. I use Constant Contact. You certainly can use MailChimp or other resources, but you know, those types of websites can create cute looking newsletter type deals, and they can help you also with a clickbait or funnels, click funnels, where you can put out a page, it clicks, you know, they click to join your email list, and then they get a free gift. You know, they can help you create things like that. You also can create an ebook fairly easily, fairly easily. Let's see, is this one I'm gonna go to? We'll get there. I'll take you through Canva. That's actually where I created my ebook. Other places that you can effectively market your book are clearly with physical spaces. Again, once the world opens back up, there are many local libraries and bookstores that will accept your book into their space. Most libraries, you know, you do it for free, so you can put your book on their shelves for people to rent out. Bookstores, most of them will want a fee, either a shelving fee, you pay the fee up front to have your book on their shelf to sell, or they'll put your book on the shelf for free, but once someone purchases your item, they take a cut and then they send you a check for the remainder. So you certainly can do that. You also can reach out to your libraries and bookstores for new author book events or for book release events. I've done a couple with Barnes and Nobles in the area where I teamed up with other local authors. They had a local author day, and we got to sell our books and do book signings there. So reach out to your local folks and say, hey, I'm a new author. I literally walked into Barnes and Nobles with my book in my hand and said, hey, I'd love to speak with your manager. Or you emailed, you can get their email addresses from their websites. Email them, hi, I'm a local author, would love to share my new book with the community. Are you having events, etc. Online groups, particularly those on social media, have been very helpful in helping to market the book. Joining groups that are similar to what your field of work is or what type of book you have. I'm a member of a couple of different physician entrepreneur groups and female writer groups and all of that, where we actually help give advice, give tips. They're there to support once your book comes out and vice versa. It's a great way to tell people about your book. Having your book signing, I've done some signings at some local churches. When women's empowerment was happening, I was doing women's empowerment a lot. Find those places that you can show up and take your book and be present and get in front of people. You got to put on your happy face. You got to put on your saleswoman hat, and you got to sell. Okay, tiring, but needed. All right, sip break. All right, let's see. I'll talk real quick because then I want to go back and show you what Canva, WordPress, and some of those other websites look like. Pomodoro Method is my favorite method of sitting down and forcing yourself to write because it helps you to not be too distracted. It also helps you to not have to sit for too long, right? I can't sit for very long without thinking about, oh, I should have been doing this over here and doing that over there. Let me check my phone. Pomodoro literally is named after the Pomodoro tomato timer, but you can use your timer on your phone or your computer, etc. Set it to a comfortable time. Mine is probably 20 minutes. It's hard for me to go half an hour, unless I'm doing something like this where I'm interacting or engaging. It's hard for me to sit quiet for 30 minutes. 15 minutes goes by pretty quick. So maybe like 20-ish minutes is a good time to set the timer, turn your phone off, turn the TV off, so everybody be quiet, get something done real quick. When your timer goes off, you get up, you walk, you stretch, you get a glass of water, use the restroom, you come right back and you do it again. So this is my favorite way to teach people to do the writing because it helps you to be more productive in a short amount of time. You get a lot done, actually. All right, let me show you WordPress. WordPress.com is, there we go. Not that. Not that. Where is it? I'm trying to move. Can I move this thing? Great. WordPress is here. WordPress.com is where my site is for my blog. You can purchase your domain and your actual domain name. You can come up with how fancy, how colorful you want your site to be. But this is where you post your quick blog stories. It's going to let me do it. I wanted to show you what my site looks like. Let's refresh. We have to sign back in. Site, my home. Come on. This is where you add in your bio, your picture, manage your account, and I'll just put in my URL. I post on my blog not as often as I used to. Again, I haven't really been promoting. See here, I haven't really posted since January, and this was about the event that I had. But in the beginning, I was posting fairly consistently, probably once a month, just to kind of put out something that was important to me or something that was trending at the time. I did some things on writing secrets. This is an article that I shared with another person who was doing a blog, and so I shared that and then linked her blog or her website, so then it was mutually beneficial. So my followers would come to my page and read the articles, and then hopefully go back to her page to read more. But it's a good way to talk about quick and dirty things, okay? And to help continue promoting your content, okay? So you can make your own blog on WordPress. There are other blog sites that you can use. This is just the one that I've been happy with, okay? Let's look at Canva real quick. Canva.com is my favorite, I don't want to say bootleg, but low budget graphic design system. If you're fancy like my husband, who does do the graphic design and book cover design and all that for my company, he has fancy stuff like Adobe and Photoshop, right? So if you can afford it, if you know how to work that stuff, kudos to you. This is what I do when I gotta get something done real quick. So this is my canva.com site. And as you can see here, I have a couple of things. I have speaker sheets that we've made for authors. I have an ebook that I created here. If you do some of my mastermind classes or some of the, if you're working with us one-on-one, I teach you how to do this on your own, or we do this for you. But this is just to show you how you can make your own book cover, okay, in your templates. This is one that I made on self-care, love languages. You can pick whatever format you want. Some of them are for free, others are for a small cost. But then you can click in here and change the font, the title. You can even change the picture. This is where either you can use their pictures and switch it up, or you can download your own photos by uploading here. Okay. Add them in, subtract, do what you wish. So you can create your own book covers and your own pages, ebook. Let me show you. So the pages of that ebook, all your designs, I created here. And again, you pick your template, the way you want your font, your text to look. And then you can click and move and copy and paste. Pick your colors. Do all those things. Get real creative. Again, you can do it if you're comfortable with it. If you don't like to do it, then you can hire someone to do it, okay? Delete that. I don't want that. Get it out of there. You can also create new pages here. Add new page and it'll just add on, okay? All right, what else can you do on these pages? You can do your own promo graphics. So as you can see here, I took an author client's book cover, put it here, and then added some more words and images to it because we were doing a bestsellers campaign. Date and time and price of our campaign, etc. Okay, Canva is my favorite. On your phone, you can also download Canva to your phone. What's also available as apps on your phone include Designer, with a Y, Designer. Word Swag is another one that I use on my phone. I downloaded, I can make something real quick on my phone, post it to social media. So, you know, you don't have to be a professional. You do want it to look nice, but you can learn how to do some of these things on your own, okay? All right. getting ready to wrap up in a little bit. Let me see what else I wanted to kind of talk about. So we ran through Canva, showed you that. Talked a lot about social media. I will share some of these with you, and don't get overwhelmed. But if you Google, you will see where a lot of folks will kind of talk about their opinion on when is the best time to share your stuff on social media, the best and the worst times. There are plenty of them, and as you can see, a lot of them are different. So look at this. This is an overwhelming slide with a bunch of different images, but this is essentially telling you on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, etc., the best time of day to post so that the most eyeballs are on your content. In the beginning, when I was fresh to social media, I did kind of follow some of these rules. To be honest with you, I now post more spontaneously and off the cuff. The way that I think about it is, again, because I'm trying to reach my avatar, which is very similar to me, is when am I on social media the most? I'm on social media the most when I wake up. I try to thank God and say a prayer real quick before I turn my phone on, but let's be real. The alarm goes off when you go right to scrolling. So I look and post on social media, or I'm looking at I'm looking at social media first thing in the morning, at lunch, when I'm taking my break in between my work, and certainly right before I go to bed. So in the beginning, I was focusing on posting on those 3 times a day, okay? If you don't look at Facebook until the end of the day, then maybe that should be when you post. Or if you only do it when you have a break at lunch and you want to do it then you should only do it then. Because your audience, which is probably very similar to you, is looking during those times too. So that's the rule of thumb that I use. The goal, again, is to be consistent. So whatever time you pick, you just want to make sure you're being consistent, okay? So to kind of wrap it up, these are the things that we talked about, okay? This is actually a longer, it says 3 months here. This is actually a longer one that talks probably more about 6 months. But these are the things that you need to go ahead and get it done. My point is that it can be done, okay? Don't stress yourself. Don't get overwhelmed. If you need help, please ask for help. Ask us for help. Ask like I said, if you have folks that are smarter than you in certain areas in social media, doing promotional things, ask for help. You don't have to do this all alone, but you certainly can, and you get to create your rules. Okay, before we get into questions, I'm gonna go ahead and throw out this offer. So if you need me, if you need us, if you need my company, I started a mastermind group back in January, where by the end of this year, the goal is to teach them and to do their publishing and get their book done, and they're gonna learn how to do it on their own. They've been learning. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start another group. Today, it's April now, I'm gonna start in May. That guarantees that by the end of this year, you will also be able to self-publish your book. I will handhold. I will, do one-on-one meetings. I'll walk you through how to do all these other things, all my tricks. You learn all my tricks. And I'm going to lower the cost for the second group that I'm starting to $350. And we do $50 per month to do that. It's in a group setting. It's a support group. You all are helping and supporting each other. I'm, kind of the teacher, the handholder, the accountability partner, and I'm going to help you get your stuff done. So if by Monday you shoot me an email or you sign up for it, $350 to do the whole program, and I'm going to teach you all that I know. All right, I'm done.
Wow, thank you. That was great info. We have all kind of comments about great info. Thank you, love this, all of that. So here's some questions. We're going to jump right into them. We got like 15 minutes left.
Okay.
So the first one, sometimes as a writer, I can feel really self-conscious about promoting myself. How do you promote yourself without being pushy, overbearing, or coming across as a sellout, AKA someone only in it for the money?
Authenticity is the key. I will tell you that I didn't love, and I still don't love speaking in front of folks, but the more practice I had, the better. And I practice by doing live streaming. So if you live stream, if you do a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live, or just set up your camera where you're talking to yourself, you can record yourself and look and see and tweak what you are, how you are presenting and how you're speaking, all that, but just be yourself. Be yourself. If you're really passionate about that topic, about that thing, about that book, if you're really passionate about it, it'll show through. Don't worry about what other people are going to think. Just be yourself and be authentic.
Okay, thank you. The next one, and it's how do you get an ebook with BNN?
It's how do you get an ebook that's on Barnes and Nobles?
Mm-hmm.
Does Barnes and Nobles do ebooks? Barnes and Noble. So if you're publishing through Amazon and you pick, Amazon will ask you essentially, who do you want us to promote your book on? Almost always they'll put your book on Barnes and Nobles. So if you do it through Amazon, you can do that. Or if you ever have, like I said, I walked into a Barnes and Nobles with my book in hand. You can always email or contact someone at that store and they can help lead you in the right direction.
Okay. Oh, he's putting information in there.
Side note, Tivi or whoever's kind of manning the chats, can you put my email address in there, please? It's cnswiner@gmail.com if you want to contact me about the program. Or questions that we may not have. cnswiner@gmail.com.
Thank you. So question about distribution. When you self-publish, what platforms can you place your book on where you maintain your rights and royalties and lion's share of profits?
Yes, so we in the majority of cases use Amazon. Hey, Katrina, thank you. We use Amazon, kdp.amazon.com, and we will usually, they'll distribute, if you want them to, they'll distribute to all their international sites, their UK sites, their Canadian sites, etc., their Barnes and Nobles, etc. So Amazon's probably the easiest way because you can say, okay, clicking all these boxes to all the places you want to distribute to. Or you can contact, there are websites for African-American authors. There are other websites for different author groups, and you can contact them directly and say, hey, here's my product. I would love, this is the agreement. This is how much I'm willing to pay, not willing to pay. You can negotiate your own agreement with those independent sites.
Thank you. Now, what about audiobooks? Where do you do
Yes, audiobooks. So both of my Superwoman books are also available as audiobooks through acx.com. That's the site that I use. So acx.com is where you can either voice your own book, or you can hire someone to voice and read your book, and then you can produce it on that website, acx.com, and they can help to distribute it for you that way.
Okay. Two-part question. Do you have training that's more specific to blogging? And then someone else asked a question around blogging about how do you know if what you're writing is supposed to be a blog or a book?
I think, any writing that you do can be both, any and all, right? So like I said, I developed my first book, literally, I wrote from the blog that I'd written over a year or so. Okay. So you can put whatever, because this is, you can do whatever you want to do. There's no hard and fast rule. So, but vice versa. So if you want to take your blog writings that you've done over a couple of months to a year and then put all those together into a book, you certainly can. I've definitely taken excerpts from different chapters from my books and put them into the blog. So you can do whatever you want. It's all about the response and the engagement that you're getting. Are people responding? Are people reading? Are people sharing your stuff? Mm-hmm. When you are working with a website like WordPress, it also will show you statistics. So it'll show you graphs and numbers about how many people looked at your blog and when's the best date and time to put your blog out because your readers are paying attention. So it will show you, demographics and stats and all that to help guide you.
Okay. What's the average turnaround time to produce an audio book on the ACX platform?
It depends on how long your book is, and it depends on how busy that person is that's voicing your book. So in general, though, not very long. So for my Superwoman books, which are mostly, like 100 to 150 pages, the person that did my book, I don't remember it taking longer than a month for her to get done reading through and then sending me excerpts to review and, assess and all that before we published it. So if your person is free and has, the time to go ahead and get it done, I can't see it taking longer than a month.
Okay. Do you do any one-on-one help?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes to that answer.
Yeah. So most of my author clients are one-on-one folks, and we have publishing packages that we do for them, and the whole thing with all the timeline stuff that I showed you, minus the writing, of course, we do. So we do all of that for people. So if you need me one-on-one, we absolutely can help you, whether it be with a full package and we do it all together in one for you, or your sister's an editor, your boyfriend's a graphic designer, so you only need me for the publishing part. So we can a la carte or put it together in a package. Or if you just want a one-on-one consult with me, you got all these things handled, you can take care of it, but you just need some advice. I do one-on-one consulting as well. So I can work with you in whatever, wherever you are with it, I can help you. And certainly you shoot me an email and we can talk one-on-one about that too.
Okay. And that is, everyone, cnswiner@gmail.com. Send me a comment. What are some unexpected challenges you ran into in publishing your first book?
Unexpected. With my first book, I published via Amazon. I used their CreateSpace, right? So they have their own publishing service, which ultimately worked out great and it was good. But I didn't anticipate some of the costs that were involved. So, I knew that I could give them my book and then they would do the editing and they would make the book cover and they would do all these things. But I didn't know that it was going to cost me a little bit on the top, for, if I wanted color versus black and white, or if I wanted 5 pictures in my book versus no pictures. Like I didn't expect those costs. So, doing it through them the first time actually taught me later. It's actually how we came up with Swiner Publishing to begin with. So I was like, you know what? All that stuff that they're doing, I can do it. We can do it with my husband and other editors and graphic designers I work with, and we can do it for cheaper. And the other thing that I didn't expect was the amount of a cut of the money that they would take for distributing and for selling the book versus if I published it myself, I get to keep the money.
Wow, okay. Do you publish journals?
Yes. Easy.
And then thank you for sharing that. So what are some of the fees to the budget for those costs that you're referring to?
Meaning what I
you
experienced.
said there were some fees. Yeah.
It's all different.
Fees like what should they be budgeting? You know what I mean?
Yes.
When they're creating their budget.
So it all depends on the type of book, how long of a book, and if you have a lot of photography, color images in your book. It all depends on a lot of different factors. But when it comes to at least making a list of people you will need to pay or things you will need to pay for, unless you go with me or someone like me who does publishing and has a package deal for you. So you'll need to think about editing cost, book cover design, printing costs. That's a big one. How much it's going to cost for you to actually print the book, because you'll want to have your own copies to sell. And then marketing and advertising type costs. So, if you're using social media, as it is, most of that is free. But if you're doing ads on social media, if you are making fancy graphics to promote yourself on social media, the marketing costs have a price tag too. And then if you do a press release, that's another thing you'll need to budget for. And then your party. you know, however fancy or elaborate you want your party to be. Those are probably the big ones that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, got it. All right, another one. What is the average percentage of for royalties from publishers that should be expected?
So if you go, so for instance, if you work with a company like mine, we take 0 cut of the royalty. So if you work with us, you are an independently self-published author. I just help you get to the finish line. Then you get to keep all your products and all your stuff. However, if you work with other companies, that's certainly a question you need to ask them up front and look at the fine print and make sure that they won't accept royalties and claims to owning your product. When you publish, or if you distribute your book through Amazon, it's usually 2 choices. You either get to pick 35% or 70% of what they will take for helping you distribute your book from sales. So yeah, definitely got to read the fine print when you do that. Because Swiner Publishing doesn't keep your royalties. Hello.
Right. Yeah, love it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the information. That was y'all. Okay. Let me tell you something. If you don't come out of this quarantine time, this pandemic, with a book or a draft or something,
you can do
a journal, you can do. I feel like I'm like, well, let me figure out what I'm gonna go ahead and write about. Thank you so much. Thank you for the information. Thank you for the offer. Thank you just for being here with us. If you guys have anything you want to reach out to Dr. Swiner about, her email address is in here. It is cnswiner@gmail.com. Please reach out. She has an offer that she's offering to everybody on this call right now. Thank you.
I see the comments. Thank you, guys.
Yes, you are amazing. I appreciate some contain. To wrap us up, guys, we have the series. It is right now weekly. We have been so honored to have Dr. Swiner with us. You can give her a virtual hand clap. You see all this love in here. Can you see these comments?
I see them. Thank you.
You're amazing. So if you guys join us again next week, we have 15.5 that will be presenting to us. This evening, we have Meet the Artist with Mavis Gregg and Keisha Bruce. She is an artist, an amazing Black woman who is an artist. And that, grab your drink of choice, a snack, your slippers, hang out with us again this evening. We are Provident 1898. We're so glad to be here with you during this time. We'll see you in your rooms, your houses, hopefully, because you're quarantining next week. Dr. Swiner, thank you so much. And again, y'all make sure y'all reach out to her for this offer. And there's her husband right there, right in the middle.
There he is in the middle.
There he is. Y'all need a DJ. Go on.
Thank you, Provident 1898. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.